Hey, Maple Leaf Numismatics. Just opening some quarters tonight. My son was working on some and he wasn't too thrilled, so yeah, I'm trying the dual so that you have the regular plus the vertical for those that want different manners of watching. Don't know how it's going to work, but figured I might as well try it. So he had opened 10 rolls, and are you watching it on the live, or the vertical or the horizontal? So I told him I'd open the rest of the boxes, rest of the coins for him, because he wasn't having the greatest search. Oh, gotcha. Well, hopefully it works out good in both. I haven't done vertical lives, but I figured I'd try both and just see how it works. So, still kind of getting some of the bugs worked out. And since I haven't really been streaming much, and just started that, so just doing this. Yeah, my quarters, I've never found a silver quarter, and in all my videos I've stated that, but I've never found a silver quarter. But when I went to dump my quarters one time, I noticed that there was a silver quarter in the return tray. Oh. Let's see if we can get a good shot of this one. Come on. I hope you can see that. This is roll 11 of the box, and we have found ourselves a W quarter with the privy mark. And it is the Weird Farm. So I will definitely take a W. I'll have to let him know that there was a W in the box. So that's pretty good. I've been finding W's pretty decent. Some proofs, NIFCs, but never found silver. So when I was dumping my quarters the one time, there was a silver quarter sitting in the tray, so it's like, well, I didn't find a silver quarter in my hunt, but I found a silver quarter in the return, so I'm more lucky that way. One of these days I'm sure I'll find a silver quarter, but doesn't look like that'll probably be anytime soon. I don't hunt quarters a super ton, but hey, you never know. Yeah, luckily I have a credit union that has one of those Coinstar things for the lobby that if you're a member you can direct deposit to your account, no fee. And so they don't care if I use it because I'm a member there, but they they sell me the quarters and pennies and stuff, and they don't care because they don't service it, and so they don't care if I use it. But it's one of those I get the halves from a different bank because they can usually get them, but my credit union can't. So it's kind of a nice thing where I have two different ones. And I find silver dimes, war nickels, silver quarters. I haven't found a silver half in the return. One time I went in and there was a whole handful of foreign change, probably, well, American change too. There was probably a couple bucks worth just in American change. and that was a nice thing. I always check it before I do it, so I know that if I'm like missing silver and that sort of thing. I haven't ever missed a silver, like in dime or quarters or anything like that, but it's amazing how much people leave, even though it reminds you like a dozen times, check your coin return. And I just put them, I find it's easier to kind of put them in my hands like that. I just take half the roll, and I do have a mat right now. It's in use for something else that I'm doing with some halves. I'm sorting some stuff from my collection. So right now it is in use, so I didn't want to remove everything just to bring it over. But I find going through this way is a lot easier than flipping them down on the mat. Maybe someday I'll get better at the one with the mat, but that's not the way I do it. Everybody has their own way. Hey, that's basically what my kids is. They just kind of dump it out, and then they sort through them like on pennies and stuff. They just basically dump them out on the table, mat or whatever, and that's how they search it. So I think there's not really one right way, a correct way of doing it, and everybody's kind of got their own preference. I guess if I was doing more of one kind, it might get easier. Man, that's a nice 2002. I'll keep that off to the side and see if it upgrades. I come across some that kind of threw me off because I had never seen, like, and they've always been proofs when I find them. And there's a few I'm sticking off to the side over here to search on the scope in a little bit. But I came across one that was San Francisco, but it wasn't a proof. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I kind of had to look it up. And that's when I found out that there are NIFC quarters. Well, there's a 2020. Let's see. No, Denver. But that's when I found out that there is such a thing as a NIFC quarter. I mean, I knew they had like sets and stuff, but I had never found one in a hunt before. So I was like, that's kind of cool. And then I found a few since. That's why I always flip them over and I'll look at the mint mark, because some of these, you're looking at, you wouldn't recognize them as being a San Francisco because they're just, regular look. So I don't know if you knew that or not, but I happened to learn it not too long ago. Yeah, one of the kind of cheat sheet things I have is like one of these. I just kind of made a thing up that has, which years, DDOs, DDRs, that sort of thing. And I have one for like dimes, nickels, pennies, wheat pennies, all the different ones. And so I just, made up a simple thing on an Excel. And because sometimes it's like I know what it is I'm looking for, but I can't remember what like exact year. For example, the 66 is a DDR, possibly. So I can look down and happen to see it. Yeah, Tom Thumb. You must be on the vertical. I'm trying a both way, vertical and horizontal. I'm just seeing how that goes. But roll 11, we had found this one. Let's see if it'll focus a bit. Ah, that wasn't good. Sometimes it helps put it on the back of the hand. Come on. Yeah, it doesn't want to really focus much, but there you go. You can kind of see it. That is a W. So it's the Privy mark, and it is the 2020 Weir Farm. So there's a W so far. Yeah, some people, I mean, they can just know it off the top of their head, and it's one of those, I don't hunt one thing all the time. I just kind of, whatever I'm kind of feeling like. And that's why I'd rather have like a little cheat sheet. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a cheat sheet. You know, it's one of those things that it's kind of saved my butt before, where I've gone, oh, that is one that I need to look at. And then, you know, I pull it off to the side to put it under my scope. Right now I'm just saving them off to the side, and gonna scope some here that I've found, a couple 65s, a 66, a few things like that. But I figure it's kind of easier to do them kind of all at once instead of go back and forth and switch between scopes a dozen times. I've had boxes where I found like 2 W's in it, but I don't ever expect that. But it's great when it happens. So yeah, my son, he just kind of wasn't really feeling searching the quarters, so he thought I was going to be like, nope, you're going to search them before you get a different box, and I was like, no, I'll finish them. So he had only gone, yeah, I kind of tested, I use Streamlabs, and so I was kind of testing the dual output option where you can have the vertical and horizontal. I myself like horizontal. Some people like the vertical. Vertical's great for kind of getting people that would just be scrolling through. But I don't know if you've ever had boxes where you have a white one. It's like all the ink, like the paper was white. I've got 3 rolls in this box. I haven't really had that happen much, but it seems like lately I've come across more and more of those. One time when my daughter was searching quarters, because she would unwrap them and kind of just go through them, and you know, she wasn't looking at dates and stuff exactly, but you know, looking to see what was cool in there, and she came across a Balboa quarter. I found Balboas in my halves, but not in the quarters. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So I love it when my kids find something that I haven't found. My son, you know, he'll hunt dimes or whatever, and he'll be like, hey, I found a foreign, and I'll look, I'll be like, well, I haven't ever found that one. So I like hunting with my kids, even if it's, you know, we'll do a box of halves or something. My daughter will unwrap them and look for the silver, or see if there's, you know, anything kind of interesting. She'll hand it to me, and I'll go through them and look for the like 74s for like the DDOs and things like that. Sometimes I get these kind of quarters where they're all dinged up and they even sound a little different, and I've had sometimes where it's just like you put them through the machine a dozen times and they just don't want to go through, and I figure I will save a said it's a waste of time. Yeah. I've had people say, "Oh, I couldn't do that. That's just boring." It's like it's not boring when you're finding interesting things and that sort of thing. And it helps when they find some cool stuff that, like I said, I haven't found before. If you ever watch any like my penny, because I was doing recap videos. I only started December of last year, or 2 years, so almost 2 years ago. And my daughter, when I started doing the filming, she would always say, "I found a leafy." And I'm like, "You mean a weedy?" She goes, "No, a leafy." I'm like, "Leafy?" And then I'm like, "Oh, it's Canadian. Okay." So she likes finding leafies better than Wheaties. Nothing wrong with that. You know, if that's what she likes. Some people like to find a certain coin. That's great. So sometimes when she finds a bunch of Wheaties, it's what she likes. That's a good thing. So luckily my kids like to, spend time. They call me every night. That's why I figured about 6:30, because sometimes I'll do, about a 2-hour stream or something. I only started, this is I think my third time, or third or fourth time. Can't remember. But they usually call me about 9 o'clock from their mom's place. We have them, joint, but they spend it probably more nights there, just because I do a lot of on-call. And then they call me and say goodnight. So I always have a few boxes of everything in stock. I try to keep, of course, pennies and nickels. Excuse me. Yeah, I had kind of looked at a few different ideas, and a couple of people had said that Monday is, good because there's not really many people streaming, and so there's less, people you're trying to stream. Whereas I know like Wednesday and Friday nights you have Rob Finds Treasure. He's doing his. Saturdays you have Walker Magnet in the mornings usually, and then you have Pa Spare Time in the afternoon, and I'm Mountain, so if I wait until 8 o'clock to stream, that's 10 o'clock back east. So that's why I figured, well, I'll try about 6:30 tonight. So hopefully that'll be good. I was looking at Mondays and then maybe like a Tuesday or Thursdays. I guess it just depends on what comes about, and just kind of testing it. So when I started, the end of 2003, when I started doing my own recap videos, and I had thought I'll maybe be 100 by the end of the year, and at that time I was almost 400 at the end of the year. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Hey, John Chum, just going through some quarters. My son, ooh, that's kind of a nice one, but he was kind of not feeling quarters, so I've decided to open the box for the rest of them. We found a W. It was in basically my first roll, but it was roll 11 of the box because my son had hunted 10 rolls. But yeah, so at the end of last year, I thought maybe I'd be at 100, and I was at 100 or almost 500. So I was like, well, that's not bad. Maybe I'll start streaming if I get to 1,000. Then now I'm at 3,800 or 3,600, I think. In July, I had some videos. I had a couple shorts. One of them, for me anyway, from my channel, I would say, went viral. It had like almost 20,000, like 17,000 views so far. And then I had a couple that were like 12 and 13,000. So that helped a lot. It just kind of skyrocketed. And I've been telling myself if I got to 1,000 subs by the end of this year, I'd look at getting a new computer, because I just had a crappy laptop from when I was doing my MBA. So it had an i3 processor with 2 gigahertz max processing and 4 gigs of RAM. So there was no way it could stream. So when I hit that, it was like, I don't want to buy a computer, but I told myself I would. You know, I can't just keep making excuses, and so I found a decent one. It's an i9 12th gen. I know the 13th and 14th gen on Intel has some problems with BIOS problems. Sometimes you have to make sure they're updated and that, otherwise you're kind of screwed if you have to redo it. So luckily mine's a 12th gen, and it's a 32 gigs of RAM with a I think a 20 core processor and up to 5 gig processing. Hey, Jim Thompson. It's testing vertical and horizontal. You have a dual output on Streamlabs, and it looks like everybody's wanting horizontal. I thought it would be completely different, but hey, either way. Yeah, so mine, I knew mine wouldn't handle it, and so that's when I was like, well, if I ever hit 1,000, I'll have to start looking at it. So when I hit it, I'd been looking at it just for down the road, and I found one on sale, and oh, weird. I was gonna say Tom Thumb was in the vertical one, then he jumped over to the horizontal. So maybe it's one of those where being in both, it just doesn't like it much. I haven't ever tried it, but I thought, why not? But that's one of those things where I found the computer and it's great. I bought a couple monitors, because I didn't have anything. I had my TV and that was it. So I had to do some upgrades on a few of it. But we have found a W tonight, Jim. My son was hunted 10 rolls and he kind of got tired of searching them, so I said I would do them, because he was like, I don't know, I don't want to do them. So I was like, that's fine. And he had opened 10 rolls, so my first of the box, roll 11, was a W. 2020 Weir Farm. Yeah, I usually watch on my phone if I'm at home, if I'm at work, like when I'm on call, if it's just one of those things where kind of waiting around for seeing if the doc needs to do a transfer or something. Sometimes it just needs stitches. I check them in, do the stuff, and then take off. Clear it, make sure. But 2025, nice. I just went to the bank last week and picked up my orders of halves. I went to the credit union, and well, the halves, I only get them every 2 weeks. And the last time they didn't have them, they didn't come. So this Wednesday, I went in and they said, we've got double the order this time. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll take them. And they were like, what? I was like, yeah, I'll take them. They're like, but there's 8 boxes. I was like, I'll take them. So they're like, well, okay. So I went to the other bank and picked up some nickels and dimes, or nickels and pennies, because I'm going to start looking at doing some hunts, you know, like where everybody, you know, you can buy the halves and you get certain prizes or just a no frills. I'm looking at doing the same thing with penny and nickel boxes. It'd be like a no frills, no guarantee would be like $10, and then hey KJ, hopefully if the drawing works, because I'm going to test it being on dual, both Bird and Live. Hopefully it works. But KJ has been lucky. Out of the 3 giveaways I've done so far, he's won 2. Hey Judge, welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome to do it. I've had it where I've won a few, in a row. Sometimes you win a bunch and then you don't win any. But it's all luck of the draw. I don't play favorites. I don't kick anybody out of a drawing because they won before. It's one of those. It's just luck of the draw. So I do have it set up so you can do !me if you want to promote your channel. So if you haven't subscribed to someone in here that posts it, it'll give their link, and you can click on it and do it. So hopefully that works. I think I got that part down fixed. It was giving problems on one night, but still a work in progress. I'm not going to be a master at it overnight. Third Indian in like a box of, like a bank box, because I have never found an Indian head in a bank box. Let me just make sure my Streamlabs is open. Yeah, !me is supposed to work. Don't know why it's not. Well, maybe I'll have to figure that out because it was working the other night. Yeah, in a bank box I have not found Indian head. My first box I ever opened of nickels, I found a V nickel and a buffalo nickel in the same box. I did not find the trifecta of a silver nickel. But for my first box, I thought that was, pretty good thing to do. Brings. I get the Loomis, the ones with the holes in the bottom. That's the only thing they get here in town because it's the same company that delivers them. Once in a while, like I picked up my halves one time and they said, we got some weird one. And it was, I don't do 10. But I was like, well, let me see it. And so they brought out one of those square double-decker boxes. And I said, yeah, I'll take it. And they're like, yeah, that's a weird one. I'm like, yeah, it's just a different, company instead of the ones that do these. 3 different boxes and 3, man, that's kind of crazy. You have to wonder, did all of them get dumped at the same time, and you know, they just get mixed in, and they just happen to be in the consecutive boxes? You know, because sometimes you find a collection dump, you know, you find 20 silvers or something. I've never found 20 silvers in a half box, but I have found 10 in one box before. And I had my first penny box I hunted completely with my daughter. We had one of those 1975 to 2013 or something like that books, and with one box we filled that entirely except for the 2009 Philadelphia's, the Lincoln years. So it's kind of, that could be two. Sometimes people have, I've seen channels do that. They put silver in just to kind of send it back through and just see what happens. With mine, if I try to deposit coins in their silver, it will kick it out. And that's how one time I went into the bank, they said, well, we got something for you. And I was like, oh yeah, what's that? They went over to the like little safe that they keep some of the $2 bills and some like loose halves and stuff. They pulled out an envelope, and it had almost $13 in quarters, and they were silver. So I was like, yeah, definitely. So for 13 bucks, I got all silver quarters face value. My other bank, I went when I was picking up halves this last time, because like I said, the last time they were they didn't get their shipment. They either forgot to order them or something, I don't know. The one lady was like, hey, I got something you might like. I said, sure. She brought it over, and it was a Benji. It was looked like it had been lacquered or something. It was like really dark and looked almost nasty, but I could tell it wasn't like dirt. So I said, yeah, definitely, I'll take it. And so I bought it from her, and face value. And then I picked up a 19, I think it was a 60 something dollar $5 bill. At the other one, my credit union said, yeah, we got this, would you like it? And I was like, heck yeah. There's a couple nice ones. I'll have to check against my book and just see if they upgrade. Hey, Jimmy Lucari. Looks like so far everybody likes the horizontal. I sounds like there might be problems trying to get into both, but I'm trying the dual thing where you can stream in both versions at the same time. I don't know how well that would work in the future, but I figured I'd at least try it. 1950. I found, when I worked at the bank, when I was in college, I found my oldest was a 1929 $100 bill, absolutely perfect, crisp condition, no pinholes, tears, writing, nothing. At the time, it was like a $400 value, and I put it in my book, just keep kind of sandwiched in between. And I don't know if when some construction my dad was doing, I don't know if maybe his workers, when they were working on his house, if maybe they saw it, you know, maybe sitting out on my dresser or something, and my book is gone, and my crisp $2,900 bill nowhere to be found. So if I can't find the book and it's not in, or not just that, but I can't find the book, and that's where it was. And I have all my books. I have, you know, I always had them all together, so my fault for, I guess, not locking it up like I should have. But that's how you learn. So now if anybody, you know, is going to do anything here, I always make sure all my silver and stuff at least is put away. Maybe not all my coin stuff, but at least my silver. You know, $64 rosy. Yeah, it seems like the dimes I find are always rosies. I don't find mercs or anything, but like I was saying earlier, when I go to dump my quarters, because I've never found a silver quarter in the wild, never. I mean, getting them from the bank because someone turned them in, you know, that doesn't count to me. You know, finding them in the wild to me is what I'm doing right now. And I've never found one. So when I was returning my quarters not too long ago, I always check the tray first, because sometimes you find quite a bit of interesting things. And I checked it, and there was a 1964, nice and shiny, probably AU, and sitting in the coin tray. So it wasn't that I missed it. I've never missed a silver, like putting them through, because it kicks the silver out. Never missed a silver, but obviously some people just don't pay attention, because it tells you about 10 different times. Check your coin return, check your coin return. And I've been at where someone has been sitting there, and you know, I'm waiting for them because I've got a big canvas bag. You know, I'll have close to 100 pounds of coins, because I can fit 50 pounds in my canvas bag that I have. My one bank gave it to me when I went in one time, and they're like, "Did you want this?" I was like, "Sure." And they're like, "Well, we got two. Did you want both of them? These are from a while ago." And I was like, "Sure, I'll take them." So that's what I use, and the one handle finally kind of ripped out, but it's easily able to be sewn back on. But it's great. It works great for putting them in. And so sometimes people look at me and be like, holy cow, and I'm like, yeah. Hey, how are you, Blaine? I was trying a dual output, both horizontal and vertical, and looks like either it's having problems doing both, or just doesn't want to work right, I guess. Dimes and penny box. Yeah. What's funny is I had a dime box that had a penny in one of the rolls, and a penny box that had a dime in one of the rolls. So it's kind of like, how the crap does this even happen? Because the penny is a little bigger, so it shouldn't really... I mean, it didn't feel different. It didn't have the, you know, bulge or anything like that. It was like, maybe it just worn down some, I guess. But who knows? Wife worked at a bank in the 70s, brought home several red sealed, 1 silver certificates, Fed Reserve notes, and the San Francisco. Yep. That's how a lot of my currency collection came about, was because when I worked at a bank, it was a downtown, and it was a local bank, but they had 6 branches, and the one downtown was basically for the business district, so it was only drive up, and they had 6 lanes plus an ATM, and the one lane was a commercial window. So normally you have the round tubes, you know, what, 3-4 inches across or whatever it is. Well, the one that I had on the commercial window was probably at least 8-10 inches. So I would do 300 transactions in my shift, and the regular tellers would do like 150. So I would go through all kinds of stuff, more than they could, and at the end of the night I would have them watch. You know, I'd buy it basically out of my drawer, and I found, like I was saying earlier, I had the 1929 $100 bill, crisp, nice, perfect, but later on it got stolen. I had it in my currency book, price guide, and the price guide went missing, which means my 1929 did also. There it is. But this is what I'm drinking tonight. A Bark Zero. When I was a kid, we had a movie theater that was $1.50, and they would give you a 50-cent piece back, like if you paid with, you know, $2 bills, or you know, whatever. But looking back, I mean, I knew about silver, but I didn't know a ton about it and stuff, so I didn't really like pay attention. But it's thinking back, it's like, how many silvers did I just spend? I mean, that was back in the 80s, you know, when I was a kid. I was born in 79, so. And this is what we had found earlier. Come on, you can focus. A W, and it's the 2020 Weir Farm. So that's my find so far tonight. So I'm doing the box. My son had wanted to do quarters, and I was like, no, okay. Normally he doesn't do quarters, but it's one of those, I was like, sure, you know, let them find out what they like best. Like, my daughter loves doing pennies, or has, with me, because she likes finding leafies. And after a while, we had done 10 rolls, and he was like, I think I'm done. I was like, for tonight, or like completely? And he goes, probably completely. I don't like them much. So I was opening the rest of his box. So he'd opened 10 rolls, and on roll number 11, out comes a W. So I always still tell him that it's, you know, theirs. I basically say, this is what was in your box, type thing. Canadian quarter rolls. Found an Amy Wong in a San Antonio mission. That's interesting. Being in Canada, you probably don't get a ton of them, especially like in 2 in a roll. I don't know if there's 1 roll, but still finding a couple. I mean, I found a couple foreigns in a box before, but that's interesting how they get up there and get into your guys' change too. Yes, leafies. That's what she likes. Like if she's hunting by herself, she likes doing pennies. And her favorite thing is the leafies, being a Canadian penny. It's one of those that most times, everybody's looking for the leafy Wheaties. And the first time she found one, she's like, I got a leafy! I'm like, oh, cool, let me see which Wheatie. And it was a leafy. I'm like, oh, that's a Canadian. She goes, that's cool. So I said, okay, find all the leafies you want. So that's what she looks for most of the time, is a leafy. So it's one of those that, if you tell your kid, oh, that's just a Canadian, or oh, that's, that's not what we're looking for, or something like that, it's, just not the best way to go about it. So, sometimes it's hunting what they like is just going through and finding it. Hey, Bella and Armin and the dogs. The best find so far is this one. Let's see if we can get it to kind of focus a little bit. Well, it's not focusing too well, but it's a W quarter, and it's a Weir Farm 2020. I don't know why it doesn't want to focus right now. Usually it focuses like instantly almost. Yeah, anyway. I used to do sports cards. Yeah, that's one that she would love opening, is one with a ton of them in it. But sometimes she likes opening the halves with me because she looks for the silver. The best box was one that had 10 silvers in it, and there was a Walker and some Benjis and all that kind of stuff. And so she looks for that and then hands them to me, and I look for the DDOs. So I don't mind doing that. She likes hunting them, so I try to keep a box of pretty much everything in stock, at least one. I used to do sports cards when I was a kid. I did baseball, and then as I got a little older, I started into football. And I haven't bought any football or baseball packs for, I don't know, 25 years. I was still buying them in my 20s. And I'm 46 now, so I've still got them. I have some that, I had some autographs and stuff like that I kept. A lot of them are just, basic ones that aren't worth anything. And told my son he could pretty much have them once he's a little older, because if he took them to his mom's, it'd probably get lost or thrown out, or they're always having new stuff, and so yeah. Yeah, the 90s are, junk, but you have to wonder, how many, you always hear the things, like you used to stick them in the bike pedals, or the wheels of the bike, and, mom threw them out when you went to college, and stuff like that. So you have to wonder how many are still packed away somewhere that, you know, the kids forgot about them. And the other reason I figured I'd stream a little earlier is because I'm not too tired from the weekend. I was on call. I only ended up getting called in maybe about a dozen times over the 3 days, and ended up working only about 9 hours of that. Watched hours, I have up to 541, so I've gained 40 from the last 3 streams. I just need to do it more often. And it looks like Monday night might be a good night. So, like I said, I wasn't too tired from the weekend. Still kind of tired just because I never sleep. I can take 2 sleeping pills and still be wide awake. And that's even drinking, you know, no caffeine. You know, I had a energy drink in the morning, but then, you know, after lunch or whatever, I haven't drank anything, just the first one. Yeah, trying the dual live stream, I guess, didn't work out as great. I thought I'd have more in the vertical, but I can't remember who said it was, but they had a hard time getting into it. But that's, you know, just part of the process of learning. And, you know, I've only used it a handful of times and still trying to kind of get everything fixed. Just like my I thought I did. I thought I had 2 scheduled. Tom Thumb was able to get into the vertical first, and then he found the horizontal and jumped into that. So I don't know. Like I said, I think I'll have to do more testing and stuff, but I had set up 2, one for the vertical, one for the horizontal. That's supposedly how you do it. And obviously I've either done something wrong or who knows. But I'm not going to complain. I have people in here, so that's my goal, is just get people in and hang out, chat, watch some coins. It's always interesting when, you know, you watch other people, you don't think about what, you know, stuff they have to do, and, you know, talking, you can't just sit there and not say anything. Man, that's a nasty one. I wonder if that's a fire coin. That's what I'm thinking. I did have my canvas bag in like an old popcorn tin, and I went to take that out after my nickels the other night. Didn't want to come out, so I was finally able to get them out. Wiggled it out of there. Yeah, sometimes it's like, what am I supposed to say? Or, you have new people come in, and, if you repeat the same thing for every single time, then, it gets old. But other people, they come in, and any good finds, and so you show them and that sort of thing. And yes, I've stabbed myself with a knife before when I'm opening them up, and not too bad though. I used my dad's Winchester knife when he died, going through his stuff, and I found that, and I had a really, really, really nice edge on it. Of course, it's a lot older now, but that's what I use. I don't know why, I just find it kind of easier that way. My daughter uses the screwdriver with the magnetic end, and I showed her because one time she had the some coin, and I was like, some of the coins from that year, it was a Canadian. It must have been like a transition year, because some of them are magnetic, some of them are silver, and some are not. And so I had her touch it with the end, and it snapped right onto it. So I was like, "Yep, that's not a silver one." So got some notepads in today. And on the thing, it looked a lot lighter than this gray, so I thought it was going to be like really light, and they're not. But if you use like a Sharpie or something, just writing on it regular, you can still see it, but makes it easier with a Sharpie. So they're just sticky notes, and I'll use them. Like I said, it wasn't exactly what I wanted because it looked lighter on the proof, but my stickers should be here, I think, tomorrow also. Yeah, it's a locker magnet screwdriver. When I bought some quarter books and stuff from him that he had filled already, and had him add a couple of those in, and paid, and he threw a couple stickers in and an extra one of those, so I was like, that's cool. And they like sticking it onto the bar where the camera is. They just stick it up here where it holds it. I can only find one of them right now, so I don't know what happened to the other one, but everybody kind of has their own way. I've seen some people just kind of rip through, without anything, and other ones, pry the ends out. People like me, I know Pa cuts the end off also. There's not really any right way. When you're in the bank or whatever, and you'd always whack. And I don't do that because I don't want to damage them more than they already are sometimes. Especially if you get a nice one, like this one's a 69 Denver. And 69 Denver has a D over D, a D over rotated D. So it's one of those that I'd rather not try to damage it. But yeah, not really any one right way or wrong way or anything. And if someone says there is, then I'll tell them I agree to disagree. So for the giveaway tonight, when I'm done, I'm starting to get my stuff, because I want to do some of those like where you know, you buy a box of halves, you know, you get so much silver or whatever, or you can do a no frills option where you're not guaranteed anything, it's just whatever's in the finds. So I want to do that with pennies and nickels. I don't know of anybody that's doing that, and a lot of times, you know, people don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on opening a box of halves, even though it's more popular. Yes, took me 5 years to find my first magic coin. 5 years. And then after I found my first one, I've probably found 8 since then in the last year. And I was just completely amazed because I was like, holy crap, it's a magic coin. And yeah, I had a roll where I had like half a magic coin. I think that was one of my later videos I just posted. It's like missing the second part, like the Mexican coin on it. So you have the American, you know, back and the front that's hollowed out. But usually on the American back, it's got the, like a Mexican 20 peso or whatever it is. And it doesn't have anything. I found 2 in one box before. But yeah, I haven't found any blank planchets. Even like nickels or anything like that, I've never found a blank one. I have found light planchets. Ones that weigh, you know, usually they're what, 11.3 grams or something. And I have multiple that weigh 10.4, 10.5 at the max. Because you do have that tolerance in there. But I think that tolerance should be, if it's less than 10.8, 10.7 or something like that. So I figure if it's under 10.6, it's a lighter one. But I have one down that's as far as, I think it's a 10.4. So I don't know if they grade them or anything. I have one that's decent. Usually it's, you know, kind of beat up. But I don't know if they do that or not. Haven't really found anything one way or the other saying they do. I've seen things that say they do, but then you can't find anything on it, so who knows. So yeah, when I'm doing it, I stick it in like that, and once in a while it slips and it'll go. So I've cut myself a few times. Not bad enough that I needed to get stitches or band-aid or super glue or have it amputated or anything like that. Sometimes you come across some of these really nice condition ones and it's like, please, please, please let that be the W instead of a Denver or Philly. And it's always a Denver or Philly. And I've had some that are just absolutely trashed. And it's like, of course that's, whoa. It's like, of course that's the one I'm going to find. Yeah, blank planchets, I haven't found anything, like I said, even nickels or quarters or halves. Last year I had, I think it was 26 straight boxes of 2024 halves. Didn't come across any because I had to open them up to throw them back in the coin machine. My credit union doesn't care if I dump them, even though I pick up like the pennies and nickels and stuff from there. They don't care. In fact, they told me go ahead because it's one of those, it's not their machine. They don't service it. It's a Coinstar one that is owned by them, but they just charge non-members to use it. And so I just have it deposit straight into my account, so it doesn't cost me anything to use it. and it's one of those that I don't want to take them back to the bank because then they won't order more until they get rid of them. So I would have to open them. I did a short on it. I did like a time lapse of opening 2 boxes, and it takes a little while. I always check the, even if it's like that, I'll not a 19, but say it's a 2016 or something, I'll always flip it over and look for that mint mark, because I've come across W's, and the it's not a proof. It's an NIFC one, and I didn't know about that at first, and I was like, what the crap, this isn't a proof, but it's a San Francisco. And so I got to looking, and that's when I found out that they make the NIFCs, which makes sense, for sets and things, instead of proof sets, just the regular ones. So it made sense, but I'd never come across it, and then since then, it seems like I find one thing, and then I find quite a few of them. And then I'll find one thing, and then I'll find quite a few of them. So it's kind of weird, but I went to the mint. I lived in Wyoming growing up, and so we went down to Denver as a kid, I remember, and went to the Denver Mint. But I don't remember them giving us anything. I have gloves. I don't know why I never put them on, but I don't think about it until after my hands are grody. I just make sure I don't wipe my face, anything like that. And it's funny because they're sitting right there, right next to all my coin, and I don't know why, but I just don't think about it. And then and it's weird because when I'm at work, because I dump my coins at the credit union after work because they're open until 6, and I get off usually at 5. Like tonight I left at about 5:20 or something, 5:15. So I go down after work and I'll grab a glove, and because sticking them through that slot, number one, it's barely big enough to even put a coin in, so you're always having to kind of jiggle them through. But I always remember. But when I'm at home, I don't. But there's this thing called soap and water. I've used it before. It works great. It also works with naughty mouths sometimes. I learned that growing up. I have gloves when I do my jalapeno poppers, because for me, jalapeno poppers just aren't spicy like if you buy store-bought ones. And so what I do is I buy the jalapeno poppers, and I mix cream cheese, shredded cheese, I dice up like cremini or some kind of mushroom. I put some serranos. I dice serranos up and stick those in with the mix. I put cayenne pepper, chipotle powder, some Worcestershire garlic powder, salt, or garlic powder, onion powder, and mix it all up, stick it inside, and then wrap bacon around it. And with the serrano and then the chipotle and cayenne in it, actually makes it decent. Still not spicy to me, but at least it gives it some heat. And that's the problem, is it never has heat for me, so that's why I have to make my own. No, those I don't have reapers. I do, well, I don't, but because I live in I call them apartments, they're technically townhouses. But my mom she lives like across the street and down a house or two, in like a regular house. And she grows the peppers, so she'll grow habaneros and ghost pepper for me. And that's what she did last year, and I made, I don't know, a couple quarts of a hot sauce. It's ghost, habanero, and then a couple tomatoes, onions, garlic, apple cider vinegar, lime juice, and I kind of smash it up, and then I simmer it for a bit, and then I'll put it through the blender, and then I'll strain it through a mesh strainer and get most of the solids out, which I keep because then I take it over to Mom's and freeze dry it, and I grind that into a powder, and then I put it back in the pan and simmer it for a bit, and then I re-strain it, and by that time it's like more of a liquid sauce, like you would kind of like a Cholula or something. And let's see, I almost did that, but I've learned if I keep my hands down here further, if I do slip, it's usually going across the top, whereas before I used to do it and it would, so. But anyway, that's what I would do with my peppers, is make that, and it's hot, but it's still able to taste food. That's probably the hottest one I make. I have one that's absolutely freaking crazy. It's called Wicked Tickle, and I love chipotle, but I can never find one that's hot enough for me. And I buy chipotle powder by the pound, like literally a pound bag. So I was looking for the world's hottest chipotle, and I came across, I don't have bacon seeds either. Southern Metal might. But I came across one, and it's smoked ghost pepper, smoked habanero, smoked serrano, smoked jalapeno, ghost pepper extract, habanero extract, and hot pepper extract. And that is freaking crazy hot. It is close, I think, from what I could see, it was like about 2.5 million Scoville. The funny thing is yeah, it's a chipotle. It's smoked and it's good, great flavor and all that. But you have to use very little, like a few drops will freaking make it too hot almost. So I put, a few drops on. Most people probably, like if they were doing a soup, I would recommend start off with 1 drop. But for me, I usually do, like on a taco salad or something, I'll put about 4 drops on. And that crap is freaking hotter than hot. But it's good. So the stuff that I make, I call devil spit, and the stuff that I freeze dry and grind up, I call devil's dust. And so that's when I do, you know, that, and I make the hot pepper stuff. I do wear gloves. I wish I could do nighttime meds and just be able to go to sleep, but I can take multiple and just still not sleep. But yeah, thanks for coming, Jim. It's fun to have people in here. So these are some like 65s and 6s and stuff like that. And I'm going to just sort them out, and then we'll go over to the scope. Yeah, thanks for stopping in. I greatly appreciate it. I'm just getting my hours up. That's my goal right now, and so when you come, I appreciate it. This one had a lot of 65s. Usually I only find, you know, a couple to scope, like 65s, and of course some of them may have Denver on them. I just pulled them out because it's 65 Phillies that have it. But usually I only find a couple, so we'll double check it. Sometimes that's easier just to pull them out and kind of look at it afterwards. Then see, like that 65 is absolutely great. I hope that's one. I do have one that's a 65 DDO. I think, from what I can tell, it's everything. From what I can see, it is, but I'm not a best at that. So there we go. Let's see if it goes over to my scope. Nope, come on. Oh, it would help if I unmuted it. I mute the one and then it's puts it on the scope here. So the 65s I'm going to do first. These are DDOs and DDRs. And I can usually tell pretty quick if it is, because the one I have, it's a DDO, but and all the markers of it and stuff, like right now I can just look at that and tell. But not all of them I'm super great at. My scope, I found the area down here, usually you'd be able to slide it around, but it was kind of like getting like, not sticky, but hard to slide it. And so I took a Clorox wipe, and see, this is one I hope that it is a very, very, very nice one, but it is not. I'm going to get just a little bit closer on these. Actually, I'll keep that one out because it could upgrade an album or something. I'll see if I can find that one. It's in a wrapper when I'm done with these 65s, and be able to show you what mine looks like. And if they're in high grades, like if you're in the MS range, they're hundreds of dollars. I haven't ever gotten any of my stuff graded, but sometimes even though it's not like MS, I'd still, still probably 150, 200, depending on the condition, value. But yeah, I just ended up taking a Clorox wipe and it just scrubbed that crap off, and it was like totally black. And so I used another one, and it was like still a bunch of crap. It's like you don't realize how dirty it is, but when you're looking at your hands and they're just as black. I think I have my 65 out that I'll show you guys of why I'm pretty sure it is. And I was like, oh, I'll never find them, and it's, I still scope them even though it's expecting not to find it. Yeah, that's kind of true. Usually if it's like a really nice one, I'm not going to like try to beat it around. But going like that, to me, in this condition, it's a big spot on it and dings or whatever. To me, it's not a huge deal. I don't think that one is, but I'll have to double check it. So that one I'll set off to the side. Sometimes I have to pull up like Variety Vista and stuff and compare it if it's like just right off the top of my head if I'm not sure. Like these, I can just basically absolutely tell you. Let me see if I have that. It should be right out here. There we go. We'll see if you can see it through the plastic, hopefully. So like on this, the easiest way to tell is right here on the E. There's like a double notching there. There's a double notching right there. I think it's the plastic that's throwing it off, but yeah, I would probably have to take it out, but hopefully you can kind of see, like at the top of the eye right there, you got a double notching right there at the top. The B, same thing. Right up there, double notching. Can't see it that well, but it's double notching, man. That E right there is very, very easy to see. It's in plastic, so it's not a big deal, but same thing with bottom of the R. When it's not in the plastic, it's a lot easier to see it. And then on the bottom of the T, the R, the N, the I, you got these like little, from my understanding, from what I can see, these little spots at the bottom have kind of like a little bit of a notch, and that, from my understanding, is what it would look like. But yeah, when it wasn't in this, it was like instantly you could see it, but being in this plastic, it makes it harder. But and unlike the B, you can't really see it on that, but you got like the extra, you know, like the extra whatever it is, line. But yeah, in this plastic, it does not look like it. The top of the L also has the notching. But yeah, that's the one that I have. But I don't want to take it out, and for now I just kind of have it protected. And if I'd ever go to send it in, of course you'd have to put it in a like a Mylar flip. But these are the 66s. I'm looking for a DDR. Gotta come out just a little bit. I can't remember where it is, but I think it's on the top there. But yeah, if I was going to do that, I would of course take it out, like I said. Oops, wrong one. You know, because you'd put it in a Mylar flip instead of the 2x2s. They don't like that, from my understanding. And I would of course double check them, but that notching on it is a lot easier to see without the see, some of these just get so damaged that it's kind of hard to tell. Usually it seems like they're pretty noticeable, but this one is the